What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new video. In this occasion, I bring you the facts and the resume of a Bronx style movie. This movie was launched on September 29 of 1993 in the United States and in September 14, like a couple weeks earlier, in Toronto, Canada.
I'm fucking proud. I told you. Feel the fucking leech. That's all.
I couldn't believe it. There she was, right in front of me. I never forgot her since the first day I saw her on my father's bus. I wanted to talk to her, but she was with her friends, and I was... Is it better to be loved or feared?
It's a good question. It's nice to be both, but it's very difficult. But if I had my choice, I would rather be feared. Fear lasts longer than love.
Sonny and my father always said that when I get older, I would understand. Well, I finally did. I learned something from these two men. I learned to give love and get love unconditionally. You just have to...
Dad, please listen to me.
I said you stay away from him.
Dad, listen to me.
Did you hear what I said? You stay away from him.
Sonny was right. The worker man is a sucker, Dad. He's a sucker.
He's wrong. It don't take much strength to pull a trigger, but try and get up every morning, day after day.
That's interesting, isn't it? That it was premiered before in this country instead the United States. The movie was directed by Robert De Niro. The history or the script was created by Chas Palminteri and is based on the history of this actor, Chas Palminteri, which first name was Caballero Chas Palminteri, and is based on the history of his childhood. And the brief, resume or synopsis is that it's about a kid that during the racial tension of the 60s, he feels conflicted, he feels his moral conflicted between the values of being a hard worker man and moral man, like with moral and values like his father, and feeling respected and feared and being a boss and like making quick or easy money, comparing the figure of his father with the gangster boss of the neighborhood, who is Sonny. Before I tell you the plot, the full history, this movie was like, it's one of my favorites because I don't know, I just feel like it's very like traditional, like the values they picture in the film, like the traditional family expectations or concept that we used to have before. And I don't know, I just like it, it's pretty cool. Honestly, I mean, in this channel, you will notice that I'm gonna be talking mostly about retro movies instead, new releases or the newest, because I like more the vibe and I don't know, the feeling of the other ones, the old ones. I felt they were pretty authentic, like literally the producers and directors put too much effort, in the scenes. Like, for example, if you like lately, I've been comparing those films with the new ones, the new launches of, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever in general, new movies, and I think the new ones, the scenarios, the places where they're doing the filmings or whatever, they don't have the little details they used to have before. Like they look more like dark scenarios, like literally talking, like more shadowy, like more empty places normally, you know what I mean. Anyways, and you know what I mean, I hope you do. And being all that say, I'm gonna tell you the plot of this amazing history that I just love and I will always love forever. In 1960, a 9-year-old Caballero lives in Belmont, a working class Italian American neighborhood in the Bronx, New York, with his father Lorenzo and mother Rosina. His father is a bus driver. Caballero becomes enamored of the mafia presence in his neighborhood, led by the local boss, Sonny. One day, Caballero witnesses Sonny shooting and killing a man who was assaulting his friend on his car. Caballero keeps quiet when he's questioned by the detectives. Sonny's men offer Lorenzo a better-paying job as a reward for his son keeping silence on his witnessing of the murder, but Lorenzo refuses, preferring a law-abiding life. He politely declines to the offer. Sonny befriends Caballero and gives him the nickname of C. Caballero earns tips working in Sonny's bar and throwing dice, but he is admonished by Lorenzo when he discovers the cash that his son has earned. Then Lorenzo returns the money to Sonny and warns him to keep away from his son. His little son, by the way, who is like, I think he's 7, who is like 10. 8 years later, a 17-year-old Caballero has been visiting Sonny regularly without his father's knowledge. Caballero is part of a gang of local Italian-American gang. which concerns Sonny, who doesn't want him to live a gangster life like him. It's interesting because he's, like a criminal. He's a real life gangster or whatever, and however, even carrying all that evilness inside his being, he still have, like a little of, or he still feel a little of tenderness or empathy or love, or like a little stranger that see him or used to see him like his hero, we used to see him like his example or hero, or used to admire him. Calogero met after an African American girl whose name is Jane at high school, and a tentative romance blossoms between them. Despite the high racial tensions between Italian Americans and African Americans in the neighborhood or the area, Calogero arranged a date. He asked for advising Sonny, who lends Calogero his car to impress Jane. Earlier, Calogero's friends beat up a group of African American cyclists who were riding through their neighborhood, the Italian neighborhood. One of the cyclists turns to be Jane's brother, who accuses Calogero of beating him up when he and Jane met for their date. Calogero loses his temper when he is unfairly blamed over the accusation and tells him, "Go to hell, fucking nigga," or "Go to hell, fucking..." I don't remember exactly. Here it says and calls him nigger, but he actually tells him, "Fuck you, stupid black," or "stupid nigga," something like that. Yeah, but he tells him, "Fuck you," who instantly regrets after his words. However, Jane, disappointed, leaves with her brother. At home, Lorenzo confronts Calogero after seeing him driving Calogero's car. They argue and Calogero explodes out or storms out with him, and he tells him that the worker man is a loser. He runs out of his house into his friends, who tell him that some African Americans egged their social club in retaliation of the earlier beating. Then Sonny and his crew reach C and his friends to confront Calogero after finding a bomb on Sonny's car. Calogero tearfully pleads his unwavering dedication to Sonny, who recognizes his innocence and allows him to leave. Then, after Calogero met his friends again, who planned to have a revenge on the African Americans club or neighborhood by using Molotov cocktails. They pressure Calogero to join them into their car, but Sonny stops the car and orders Calogero to get out. He gets out, following Sonny's advising, and after he catches up with Jane, who tells him that her brother has admitted that he blamed Calogero just because he was angry of the beating. Jane and Calogero make pieces again, but he suddenly remembers that his friends plans to attack Jane's neighborhood, and the two get inside Jane's car to stop them. During the attack, an African American shopkeeper returns an unbroken Molotov cocktail that they throw to the blacks bar at the Italian's car, which enter through the window and ignite and turn in flames the Molotov cocktails that are still inside the Italian's car. Oh my god, this scene is crazy. It's instant karma, So the car make a huge explosion that kills everyone inside. Then when Calogero and Jane arrive, it's too late since the car is engulfed in flames and the guys are inside carbonized. Calogero, afraid for his safety in Jane's neighborhood, and after feeling after actually being threatened by the black guys that are around there in the area, he leaves running to Sonny's bar to thank him for saving his life. But a young man who appears out of nowhere and with a very suspicious attitude shoots Sonny in the head moments before Calogero could warn him. Then Calogero realized that the killer was there because his father is dead. Then Calogero realized, or somebody let him know, that the killer was the son of the man who 8 years earlier, or previously, Sonny murdered in front of his house. At Sonny's funeral, countless people paid their respects, but as Sonny had once stated, nobody seems to really care about his death. Like, he normally used to use this phrase that says, nobody cares. Then after, when everyone has left, a lone man, named Carmine, visits the funeral and tells Calogero that Sonny once saved his life. Calogero doesn't recognize him. Well, he's telling him that Sonny was the best man he has met in his life and that he saved his life once as well. but he doesn't recognize Hermine until he sees the scar on his forehead and realizes that he was the man who Sonny defended 8 years before. Hermine then tells Caballero that he is replacing Sonny in the neighborhood and promises him to help him if he ever needs it. If he ever needs it. Then he leaves as Lorenzo unexpectedly arrives to the funeral to pay his respects to Sonny. Lorenzo arrives and next to Sonny's coffin thanks him for saving his son's life by taking him out of his Italian's little gangsters friends, you know. Then Caballero bids a goodbye to Sonny and walks home with Lorenzo while thinking about the lessons that he has learned from these two mentors, Sonny and his father, Lorenzo. Sonny and his father, Lorenzo. Now, my favorite scenes of this film is, I would say all the movie, but I think my favorite ones are when, you know, like Lorenzo and the mom of C, you know, hang out together, and I don't know, it just seems very traditional, you know, marriage, and it's really cute, you know. And also when when he defends the black guys, you know, from all the criticism of his gang, you know, there's any scene where, you know, the lead of the group of Italian friends is, you know, like filming and cursing the guys, you know, the black ones, and Caballero kind of defend them, you know. And I think that's very brave because especially in those maybe in those years was not so brave because it was more common that people defend, you know, or, you know, how do you call it, confront the bullies, you know, or in this case the big bully lead of the Italian little group of gangsters. And I don't know, I think nowadays there is any brave people, like, but in those decades there was still like moral people with values and, you know, brave enough to face the bad ones, or to, you know, to use the simple fact of just speaking their mind, you know. So this was my other favorite scene when Caballero defends the Afro-American guys. And also, of course, my other best favorite scene is when he meets Jane. The scene where both scenes, when he saw her for the first time in the bus, and when he invited her to a date after going out of school, you know, of high school, and he met her outside, is my fourth favorite scene. Now let's go with the reviews. This one is of the year 2008 of the website IMdb, and it's a 9 out of 10. He rated with a 9 out of 10. He says, "Around Sale does take me back to the New York City in the 60s. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I'm glad that Charles Parliamentary has given the Bronx an identity of its own. There are still parts of the Bronx which have the Italian neighborhood you see despite it here. But the Bronx is a Latino majority neighborhood now. Ironic when you consider part of the story of the Bronx Tale is the racial tension between the blacks and Italians." This review is of the year 2000, made by a guy named Rondin, October 28 of 2000. He also gives the film a 9 out of 10, and he calls it a masterfully told tale of morals and consequences. "I have seen this movie over and over like many of the people who have reviewed it. It is true that this is loosely based on the life of Chas Palminteri, who wrote the screenplay. He was rejected several times until he found Robert De Niro with his dreams of becoming a producer. And Tribeca Productions. What luck for all of us too." Yeah, totally agree with that. Chas was born to play the role of Sonny, and how refreshing to see De Niro as a humble and hardworking father figure instead of the gangster that he has so often played. This movie has heart and a history that is actually appropriated for young and adults. Despite the language and moderate violence, such as the bar scene. By the way, the bar scene is one of my favorites also because, you know, the frozen face expression that switch like this in the motorcycle, you know, punks when Sonny, you know, locked them inside. It's really, really funny, you know, like their faces is just like, I don't know, they just switch. This is another one of my favorite scenes. This is my feet favorite scene. There isn't anything graphic or no nudity, just a good history. One of the gems is that nothing is sadder than wasted talent. The phrase that Sonny used to tell, you know, see. Thank God that Mr. Palmentary didn't waste his talent and shared this wonderful history with all of us. Unforgettable movie, a definite 10 out of a 10. He said 10 out of a 10, but he gave a fucking 9. What the fuck, you know? Matty Mad Forever review on May 8th of 2001. He gave a 10 out of a 10. Says, if Bobby and Jazz are reading this, I couldn't thank you more. He says this might be a matter of taste, but A Bronx Tale remains #2 on list of favorites movies of all times. It just happens to be one of the most deeply moving, powerful films I have ever encountered. Yes, some might consider this a simple history, but that's the beauty of it. It's a down-to-earth, coming-of-age story that perfectly mirrors the life of a boy like C, growing up in the Bronx at such a hectic time. Of course, this is based on Palmentary's childhood. I wish I had life experiences like that to put on a film. The opening of the movie is great. I love it. He captures so many elements of the period. And it was nice to see only one goof was captured. It was interesting to find out that most of the movie was actually shot in Brooklyn, my hometown. Then again, the two places are alike in their own simple ways. The interactions between De Niro and his son are extraordinary in the way they mirror the way a real-life father and son will argue in those situations. Yeah, I'm totally agree with that. As I say, it's the whole down-to-earth quality of this movie that I think made it tick. It's nothing pretentious. This is a simple movie about humanity. The gangster flute is merely a backdrop. The only other movie I have seen him in was Crimson Tide in a very small role, but Lino Brancato, who plays De Niro's son in the later years, is a revelation. He gives one of the best performances I have ever seen, and I'm surprised I haven't seen him in any more recent movies. Yeah, actually, he was good. He has Colombian roots, you know, this actor. Yeah, he has Colombian roots, but he looks pretty Italian. Oh my god, this dude review is so long, it's like a pergamino. But I'm trying to give you just the most highlighting of these reviews I'm sharing with you about this film. And these are reviews of 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Is wow, just amazing. By the way, if you have reached this point or this part of the video, please, I beg you, please subscribe, leave your thumbs up, and drop a comment about your opinion or memories about this film. He says, by the end, I was almost in tears. I'm virtually tearing up just writing this review and looking at this masterful drama in retrospect. This is something only Bobby D. And I think I was always all the time reading Bobby D on his review, and I didn't know who the hell was Bobby D. Now I know that he's talking about Robert De Niro. He says, this is something only Bobby D and Chaz could have done. No one could have done it better. For me to be this deeply moved by a motion picture is unprecedented. I wish I could. Sorry. He's just too, expressive, I think he's exaggerating too. I think he exaggerates a little too much. But anyways, for me to be this deeply moved by a motion picture is unprecedented. I wish I could be thanking the two guys in person. Well, I'm agree with that. I mean, I'm sorry for laughing. It's just too funny because I read it and it's like if I were seeing the guy in person, with all this excitement, If anyone hasn't seen this movie, please don't hesitate to pick it up. I'm totally up to that. This is one of those great, underrated masterpieces that you feel sad after finding out about its pure success. I cannot believe it, but okay. I feel like this really deserves more recognition. And Bobby D, I think you owe a bunch of thank yous to your buddies for services. He told you well. Well, I think honestly, I think these kind of films that have a really deep meaning when it comes about values and moral, of course they will never get a freaking, great recognition, because that goes against the nature of this planet, This goes against the nature of how humans, we are being slavered here, the movie industry. So of course, these kind of films, they just cannot be rewarded as they deserve, Jaws of Josh stayed in November 2 of the year 2000. Wonderful coming of age history in Little Italy. Oh, what a wonderful, small and intricate film this is. How I love it and cherish the warm and pull it into every time I see this film. Robert De Niro editorial debut proves strong and lively evidence by how he stuck to a topic close to home. A young, impressionable Italian kid growing up Little Italy in the late 60s. As the name protagonist Cavalier Orsi, as he is nicknamed, he gives you a great performance as a young mentor between the working class honesty displayed by his strict father and the ruthless world of organized crime demonstrated by the neighborhood crime boss Sonny. One key element that snags you in this narration, like equally personal films of its institute. The voice-over guiding brings you in even farther into the already detailed landscape of an history presented. I don't really consider this a mafia movie. It's much more of a coming-of-age tale. However, the background De Niro provides is so intimate and true that you wish for another film chronicling. In recent words, the film has reviews since the year 2000. Oh my god, there is one here of 1998. Let me read it for you guys. November 5 of 1998, Marine Tree says, he gave a 10 out of a 10, and she says, great movie, great soundtrack. She says, I grew up in the Bronx during the 50s. The history, the neighborhood, the attitude, and the values are all real.
Oh my
Maybe
god.
the interracial line was a bit of a stretch. Those things just didn't happen, at least not so openly. Like she's basically saying they exaggerate with the tension between Italians and blacks. Good history. I own the video and I enjoy it with my sons from time to time. Oh my god, a motherfucker here rated the film a 6 out of a 10. His name is Grant, September 22 of 2018. He says good but not great. The Bronx, New York, 1960s. 9-year-old Calogero grows up admiring and fascinated by the local mob boss, Sonny. Calogero's father, Lorenzo, wants to have nothing to do with the gangster and does his best to keep his son away from Sonny. However, it might prove a losing battle. He says good but not great. Written by Chaz, the movie has heap of potential. A gangster history that revolves around how a kid gets sucked into the world of the mob and how this affects him and the people around him. However, while reasonably engaging and entertaining, the movie doesn't quite live up to its potential. Come on, what the fuck are you talking about? The main problem is the script. The main plot is fine. It's the subplots and the scene-to-scene development that sometimes don't work, feeling at times clumsy and contrived. There is also an idealism and richness that start to grate after a while. The conclusion is okay, but it's not as profound as it takes itself. Robert De Niro in his directorial debut does okay behind the camera, though the editing does feel choppy at times. Overall, I like it, but it could have been better. His comment has 21 likes, and with my dislike, he has now 17 dislikes. Anyways, this is it for the reviews. This is if you love it, me personally, is one of my favorite movies ever, you know, especially talking about the Italian gangsters gender, kind of. I have saw Scarface too, but I don't know, for me it's just an action movie. It's not meaningful because for me he's a gangster. I'm never with agree, or I never feel like a preference on this kind of guys or this profile of men that are like gangsters. Always, are more inclinated to the good guys team or type of men. So I don't like Scarface. In Latin America, Scarface movie and the main personage or character of the Scarface, I don't know his name, but the protagonist is very admired in Latin America. For some kind of reason, many men and many guys likes Scarface, and I guess it's probably because they haven't seen this movie. Because I know for sure that if they see this movie, they're not gonna openly admit that they love it, but they will. Deep inside, in their hearts, they will love it. They will love it. It's just, I don't know, great. I love it too. And well, that's it for this video. Please, if you like it, let me know your comments, your reviews, which are your memories about this movie. Me, I used to watch it with my parents and at home with my family in general, all together, and we enjoyed. Please don't hesitate subscribing and your thumbs up, sharing it, and see you next time.